Hi everybody, welcome to the Christmas in Ireland edition webinar. Great to have you all here. I'm going to quickly share my screen and briefly chat through some of the Christmas highlights in Ireland at the moment, and just a very brief update on where we're at with regards to the COVID-19 situation. Now, I'm certainly not going to labor this point. I'm sure we're all well aware of the situation around the world. But we want to make this a fun and interactive session with our amazing partners that we have here today. So that is really the focus. Please, throughout the session, if you have questions, pop them in the Q&A box. If you have any chats or comments or any technical issues, if you're experiencing any problems with sound or anything like that, put them in the chat box, and then please use the Q&A box for our question and answer session with our partners at the end of the event. So I said this is the Ireland update. We will then hand over to Michael Martin from Titanic Trails. We then have Alistair talking to us direct from the Ulster American Folk Museum. So you're going to see Alistair in full costume chatting through what you can expect to experience there. We have Jane Allen from Magamorna Estate, and she's going to be doing a culinary demonstration so that you can get an idea of what type of things that we make in Ireland around this season, around Christmas time. And then we have Conor Owens from Hidden Belfast Tours, who has a few hidden gems and surprises to showcase to us today. We'll then have a short quiz, so make sure you're paying attention to our speakers, because we will have some questions about what they're speaking about at the end of the session. And if you answer correctly, you are then eligible to win a fantastic prize from ourselves at Tourism Ireland. We have a few holiday goodies for you, as well as a stunning Waterford crystal vase. And then, of course, we will have time for Q&A. So any questions for myself, anything about travel to Ireland, either now or in the future in 2021 when the time is right, or for our partners, just be sure to answer them or ask them throughout the session, and we'll make sure to get to them. As I said, a very quick travel to Ireland update. Ireland is starting to open up again. We had some pretty strict restrictions over the past couple of months, but it is starting to ease up. It's starting to open up just in time for the holiday season. I have a couple of helpful resources here for you. So reopen.europa.eu is a fantastic website that will tell you the conditions in each European Union country for travel. So there's a nice little chart there that if you click on it, it'll tell you how many COVID cases they have, if there is any travel restrictions, and what those travel restrictions are. You're also probably familiar with the timetotravel.ca website, but that also gives you a clear map and up-to-date information on where Canadians specifically can travel to from their region. So you can put in, the province that they're from, the country that they're going to, and it'll tell you what the travel restrictions are there. So a really great resource for yourself and your clients. And then, as I said, we are kind of doing well with the COVID situation. We are an island, so we are quite protected in comparison to a lot of European countries. And an Irish woman has actually just become the first patient to receive Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine just today. And she was from County Fermanagh. So we are moving in a much more positive direction, and we're all very excited about when we can start looking forward to 2021 and when the time to travel is right. You're probably all quite familiar now at this point with COVID-19 safety protocols. So just a quick reminder of what these safety charters in Ireland look like. We have the COVID-19 safety charter for the Republic of Ireland and the Northern Ireland We're Good to Go mark. So just watch out for these safety charter marks anytime you are looking. All our businesses are really working hard to make sure that things are safe and in the best possible place for your client. And it's very closely monitored. So we're very comfortable in saying that when your clients come to Ireland, it will be a safe, happy, and healthy experience for them on the ground. Again, a quick reminder of Ireland's experiences. So you will arrive from Canada, typically into Dublin. Most of our air access is direct into Dublin, our capital city. On Dublin's doorstep is Ireland's ancient east, this orange region here that has over 5,000 years of history. The blue region then is the Wild Atlantic Way, the world's longest defined coastal touring route at 2,500 kilometres. And then we, of course, have Northern Ireland, and you'll hear from a couple of our partners from each of these regions today. I will now hand over to Michael Martin from Titanic Trail. So over to you, Michael. Now that we're all in the Zoom world these days, so the gentle reminder of take yourself off mute.
Hello, everybody, and you're very welcome. Greetings from Cove in County Cork. It's on the south coast of Ireland, and it is a harbour and town that is absolutely steeped in heritage. I want to, in the next slide, just tell you a little bit about our company and where we started and what we do. We've been operating every day since 1998. And we're based in Cove. We provide tours there in this town. It was formerly known as Queenstown because Queen Victoria stepped ashore here very briefly in 1849. The name was changed to Queenstown. And then as independence approached in July of 1920, they reverted the name to COBH. So that's what it is today. When you're reading about Titanic or Lusitania or any of the historical events prior to the First World War, you'll see it referred to as Queenstown, but it's now Cove. We're in a location which Sandra has referred to that sort of straddles both the Wild Atlantic Way and Ireland's ancient East. So clients who are coming here to explore either of those two, well, Cove is right straddling both of them. The town itself is located in the middle of Cork Harbour, one of the largest natural harbours in the world, and the city nearby, Cork, together, both the harbour and the city, really have been a centre of world military, maritime and social heritage. We began our Titanic Trail guided walking tours of Cove in 1998. We also have a Cork City tour, which is called the Cork City Ramble. We offer at this stage, combination tours. We cater for FITs, for groups, and we also do one-to-one specialist tours where people want to go either that little bit deeper or they have either an academic or a research interest. We also operate train excursions where we bring people from Cork to Cove, and we deal with clients that come in on cruise ships and shore excursion business as well. Just a bit in my next slide about my own background. I originally came to Cork in 1975. I spent 23 years in the Navy, and following on from the Navy, I went on as a mature student to do a degree in history and later a PhD, receiving my doctorate in 2011. I suppose what is different about the narrative that I deliver and my guides deliver to visitors is they're getting a little bit more of a perspective than they usually would. Questions like, was Titanic really the biggest ship in the world and had nothing like it ever been seen before? Was everybody clamoring to be on it? Or are these just concoctions of Hollywood? Also, the Lusitania, was it really an innocent ship? Those and other questions are explored. They're just typical of the type of things that we do. In our next slide, I'll be talking to you about the type of history that molds this place. Cork Harbour was an integral stopping off point for early exploration across the Atlantic from Europe. In the stories about, people first going to South America, then Canada, long before the British began to colonize what is now the United States. 50 years before that, there were Europeans in Canada. But Cork Harbour would have been a stopping off place for those early voyages. It was Ireland's principal port of emigration from the middle of the 19th century, and Canada would have seen many of those people. I myself was very moved when I visited Grosse Ile in the St. Lawrence Seaway, where Irish people landed, not just during the famine, but later on too. The harbour was an exit point for the transportation of so-called convicts to Australia. Many of them had been arrested for stealing food. And I suppose what it's more recently been famous for is that it was the last port of call of RMS Titanic. It was the last place that the ship stopped before setting off on her fateful voyage. It was also the rescue hub for the sinking of the Lusitania, and it was the port headquarters of the US Navy and later allies during the First World War. What's amazing about the place is that it's all still architecturally preserved. our next slide will show that we have a frequency in all of our tours every day. We operate every day, every year, except Christmas Day. We can vary the distance of our tours. We do have a public tour with a fixed length and time, but we also show people or do tours of different lengths and styles for different needs. We've been working for many years with all the major tour operators, and I always say to people that history in its delivery always has to be accurate, but never ever boring. And I inculcate my guides and my students with that. We have a saleable experience document that will be sent on to you later by Tourism Ireland with all the various offerings that we have. We also do added value tours where people might sign up for the public tour, but they want to get a copy of one of Father Brown's photographs, or signed copies of my books, or taking them in for Irish coffees at the end of tours. We even do some evening ghost tours, and we call these our cultural and insight tours. To finish up, what I would say is that try out, have a look at these tours that we offer, such as the train excursion, operates 6 days a week. Have a look at Cove, at the beautiful architecture, and have it interpreted by somebody who has a passion for history. And we'd be delighted to see you. These are our details coming up on the next screen, and they will be held by Tourism Ireland as well. From Cove and Ireland, I'd like to take this opportunity to wish you all a very happy Christmas. And in the meantime, if you can't come here, check out our virtual tours. They're on our website at titanic.ie. And thank you very much for taking the time to listen to me.
Thank you so much, Michael. That's brilliant. And I think that's how we all like to take our history, right? We want to take it with some fun and some engagement, and that's something that you guys at Titanic Trails do so well. So thank you for taking the time to speak to us today. If anybody has any questions for Michael, make sure to ask them in the Q&A box, and we'll get to them at the end of the session. Now we will hand over to Alistair Moran. He's going to speak to us directly from Ulster American Folk Park in Omagh. So I will stop sharing my screen, and now we'll kick it over to you, Alistair. So where are you chatting to us from today? What room is this?
Well, bonsoir, good evening, Canada. You're welcome to County Tyrone here in the northwest of Ireland. And you join me here on our dock site. So before I explain what you can see behind me, I'll just tell you a little bit about the Ulster American Folk Park. We are part of a family of museums, National Museums Northern Ireland. We're about an hour and a half west of Belfast, 45 minutes south of Derry. We're nestled in the scenic grandeur of the Sperrin Mountains, and this is where you'll find our museum. And we're a museum of emigration. So we try and tell just a handful of hundreds of thousands of stories of people who left the north and west of Ireland to begin new lives in Canada, the United States of America during the 18th and 19th centuries. And the way that we tell those stories is by costumed guides like myself, but also our world-class collection of original buildings. So visitors to the folk park, they take themselves on a tour around the old world, the Irish side of the museum, visiting a variety of houses which we have dismantled and re-erected stone by stone here in the museum, seeing a variety of lifestyles and hearing some extraordinary tales of some people who were born in our local area who went on to do some remarkable things in the New World. Halfway through the tour, you come to the dock site. This is the bridge between the two sides of the museum, because beyond the ship is the New World side of the museum, where visitors see what the experience was like for the Irish migrants on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. And we have houses which we have transported from places like Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and most recently Tennessee. But I'm dressed up for the ship, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about the ship, and from the comfort of your back bedroom or living room, I'm going to take you on a journey across the Atlantic Ocean in somewhat truncated form. So the ship that you can see behind me is a full-scale replica of a ship called the Brig Union. Now, 200 years ago, the real Brig Union was sailing mainly between Belfast and Baltimore in Maryland, stopping off en route in Canadian ports such as St. John's and Halifax, because that was an important opportunity to take on fresh supplies, and passengers would have disembarked at those Canadian ports as well. Now, the Union sailed that route up until the year 1822. That's when the Union sank just off Rathlin Island. For no loss of life, I'm happy to report. But that's where the good news ends, because journeying on board a ship like the Union was far from a pleasant experience. Like most ships in the early 1800s, taking the Irish across the Atlantic, the Union was not a passenger ship. She is not fit for purpose. This is a cargo ship. So when she was returning from Baltimore, she was laden with lucrative cargo from the New World. Maybe we hear a fire alarm. Would you just excuse me for 5 seconds while I quieten that down and make sure we're not burning down here?
The joy of live entertainment, everybody. This is what we get for having the luxury and privilege of presenting from our back, or watching from our back bedrooms or our living rooms or something like that, is we do have to deal with fire alarms or barking dogs or all the other wonderful tech issues that we have. So back to you, Alistair.
All right, we're safe. Moment of panic there, but our artifacts are all safe. Apologies for that. So I was explaining that when the Union was coming back from Baltimore, she was carrying things like tobacco, flaxseed, timber, and cotton from the plantations. But with nothing Irish to transport back to America, the owners of ships like the Union would arrange for temporary bunk beds to be installed below decks in the cargo hold, and that way a human cargo could be transported. So because she was never designed for people, this was a particularly unpleasant and uncomfortable way to travel. And when you join us at some stage in the future, this is the point at which I will lead you on board the Union, but we can't do that with the laptop in front of me. So I'll just explain a wee bit about the voyage. When you're here, if you're tall, you might have to duck because headroom is a bit of an issue down there. But it is much improved because we've actually raised the ceiling below decks, because on the original vessel, the ceiling was no higher than about 5 feet 6 inches. And if you're of a claustrophobic nature, this is not the place for you, because it gets worse. There are 50 temporary bunks below decks, but the Union regularly set sail with close to 200 passengers on board. So you were sharing a bunk for the voyage, which is not the end of the world if you're traveling as part of a family, but if you were on your own, you would be sharing a bunk with 3, sometimes 4 complete strangers. And you were sharing, of course, not just the bed and the blanket, but any illnesses, any infections, any nasty little friends crawling over hair or skin. But you had plenty of time to get to know your fellow passengers, because you were lucky if a ship like the Union made it to a port like Baltimore within 8 weeks of leaving Belfast. And that was with a fair wind. If the elements were against you, this journey could take anything up to 16 weeks. And however long it took, you spent that time below decks. These passengers were not free to wander up onto the top deck to gaze out over the Atlantic and fill their lungs with fresh sea air. Depending on the weather and the temperament of your captain, you might only get up on that top deck for half an hour a week. So it's impossible for us to really imagine what this experience would have been like. These were passengers having to contend with constant noise, sleep deprivation, boredom, frustration, discomfort, fear, and of course the stench, because underneath every set of bunk beds, there's a wooden bucket, and that was your toilet. And it's a horrific prospect. 200 human beings crammed into that space, filling those buckets. No privacy, no dignity. But you were glad to have that bucket close by, because one of the worst things about this journey was the seasickness, which affected virtually every single passenger. So it was an appalling voyage. And that's without even mentioning to you how bad the food was, or how many rats were on board, or how terrifying it was to be on board a ship like this during a storm. You had to be tough mentally as well as physically to get through an ordeal like this. But I think you've suffered enough for one evening, and in case the fire alarm chooses to go off again, I'll end things there, but I'll be happy to answer any questions that any of you might have at the end of proceedings, and we can't wait to see you all when you get here. It's been one of the things which has really stood out about this year. It's been so strange not getting to meet visitors from across Europe and Australia, New Zealand, and especially our friends from Canada and the United States. So we can't wait to see you again. So have a safe, a happy, a healthy Christmas and a bright new year, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the future.
Thank you so much, Alistair. That was perfect. And I've never really appreciated the comfort of an Air Canada or an Aer Lingus flight from Canada to Ireland. But after that journey and voyage, I'm sure I definitely will next time I'm lucky enough to get on a plane. So now we're going to hand over to the wonderful Jane Allen. Jane's speaking to us directly from Maghamorn Estate in Northern Ireland, and we're going to do a little bit of a culinary demonstration. So over to you, Jane.
Good evening. Good evening to everybody in Canada from a very wet, cold Maghamorn Estate. My name is Jane Allen, and this is my daughter Sarah. Who the both of us, along with my other daughters Catherine and son James, we just took over this beautiful Maghamorn Estate back in March, which was good timing. But anyhow, Maghamorn Estate is a beautiful building that was built in 1881 by Sir James Hogg. When on his because of his rise to the peerage, he was bequeathed the land here by Sir Charles McGarrell, and they set about building this wonderful building. Set on 43 acres. It's on the coast, the beautiful coast road between Belfast and Glenarm. It's about 23 miles out of Belfast, and actually I was asking Darren from Condor Executive here, we're just about 17 miles actually from Scotland, so we're situated in a fantastic position between the whole of Ireland, the north of Ireland, and actually then on to the mainland. So anyhow, this evening, my daughter Sarah, as you can imagine, it's a bit frantic because the restrictions have been lifted here slightly. So last week we couldn't entertain anybody in the house. This Friday, this Saturday evening, we're having fine dining, and we're having afternoon tea, along with an outdoor experience, a Santa Trail. We had to really think about what we could do in the COVID situation. That was COVID. We talk about COVID proof, so we took it on, and then all of a sudden we are allowed to have guests. So the kitchen has been pretty frantic. Sarah has been making mince pies, so she's going to demonstrate some of the mince pies that we've been making here on the estate. And how we introduced a little bit of the old good stuff to make them a little bit more Irish. So I'll hand over to Sarah, and I'll talk alongside Sarah here. So Sarah.
Yeah, really what the stuff says, us taking on this project, food has been the heart of the project, and it always will be moving forward. So these mince pies is a recipe from my great grandmother. It's been handed through generations. I've just done a quick mock-up for you, but what I have is 300 grams of plain flour, 200 grams of softened butter, and then I had 100 grams of icing sugar, which I think might be the top secret I'm giving away. A lot of people use caster sugar, but the icing sugar creates this lovely, soft but crisp pastry. So it was just crumbled together into breadcrumbs, and then we crack in one egg, and it's just one egg yolk on its own, no egg white, and again that really just keeps it more of a rich pastry. So as you can see here, I've now got the pastry which is nice and soft. Got some flour on the bench, and I'm just going to roll out with a bit more flour into about 1 millimeter thick pastry, just so I can cut out into our cases.
As Sarah rolls the pastry, I'll explain that here in Ireland and Northern Ireland, we are blessed with a wonderful countryside of lush green grass. So the produce that we can get our hands on locally is incredible. And especially since all the good things have happened here in Northern Ireland over the last 20 years, we now have fantastic access to produce. A lot of our produce comes from the west of Ireland. All our beef comes up from the west of Ireland. Our lamb is from outside Dublin. The actual flour that we use was milled for years in Ballymena, and that's my hometown. In fact, a little point of interest, the privilege has been brought up in the Timothy Eaton homestead on a farm. So we actually grew a lot of wheat and barley, which was milled locally. Now, unfortunately, like a lot of small business, it's been bought over, but it's still milled up in Belfast. So this flour is, and some of the wheat is actually brought in from Canada, but it's milled locally. The butter in the recipe is, again, Irish butter. We use only Pomona butter here, which is manufactured just outside Belfast. So it is part of our ethos to use as much local produce that is grown on this island as possible. So Sarah, how are you getting on?
Yes, good. So I'm just going to do this last one here for you. The end goal, actually, for me, being slightly younger generation, obviously, is to build our own community on the estate where we can grow, and hopefully this time next year, if I get my way, we'll be foraging our own polytunnels. So that is the end goal, really, you know, and having our own hens where we can get the eggs from. So mincemeat.
Sarah was very fortunate to spend 3 months down in Ballymallow outside Cork, where she learned a lot of fantastic skills. So which whiskey? We have 3 whiskies tonight. This is a nod to South Ireland. This is, yes, use the logo. This is Bushmills, and this is from our friends across in Scotland. But we're just going to add a little bit of whiskey.
I just take half mincemeat out for these 6 mince pies. I'm just going to add generous 2 tablespoons.
Okay.
And then pop a little bit in. And then I just don't want to run out of time, so I'm just quickly going to.
Wish you could smell this. If we could smell this, send this lovely smell over to.
A quick bit of egg wash, and then a slightly smaller cutler for the lid. Just pops on top, and then we.
Okay. So.
Okay.
All right. So that's how we have about 2,000 of these actually to make for the weekend for the Santa Trail. So it's going to be really busy here on the estate. And here's ones that we made earlier just to show you. You see those? So again from Macklemore Estate, here we have 36 bedrooms. We have 43 acres to explore. Lovely woodland trail. Lots of lovely food from locally produced ingredients. A family to pull it together for you with a lot of love and passion, and we just love what we do. This has been an honour speaking to you guys in Canada. We thank Sandra, we thank Darren here from Condor Executive. So thank you so much. Enjoy Christmas. Let's hope that we get over this terrible pandemic here, not only in Ireland, but all across the world, and that 2021 and 22 will be much more fun and enjoyment for us all. So thank you so much, and a happy Christmas to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jane and Sarah. That was amazing. I think you guys are the epitome of a family business doing incredible stuff. And it's great to know that we're not, we don't just make our coffees Irish, we make our mince pies Irish too. So I know all our attendees here are really eager and interested in receiving this recipe from you guys. So please do send that on to us and we'll make sure that it gets distributed to everybody.
Yeah,
thank you.
So now we are going to hand over to the wonderful Conor Owens. Conor is going to speak to us from Belfast Hidden Tours, and he has some fun surprises and fun items from Belfast to share with us. So over to you, Conor.
Hello everybody, it's Conor Owens from Belfast and Belfast Hidden Tours. Especially want to say hello to Dayton because we share the same surname. It's pretty cool. So for moving on from Jane had some whiskey. Start off with, this is JJ McConnell, and it's a brand new Belfast whiskey company. It's been reborn or relaunched. And to give you an idea of what I'm going to do tonight, I've got a bag full of, it's basically Belfast in a bag. So instead of a bag, we say bag. Instead of saying shot, we say shat. There's different ways, so it's a good way of introducing you to our local lingo. Michael's from Cork, and Belfast and Cork are the opposite side of the island, but we have a reputation for speaking really quick, and I'm trying to get 20 items in about 8 minutes, so apologies if I go quick. An over item, especially because it's Canada. This is ginger ale, and ginger ale was actually invented in Belfast. And then it was another JJ. It was JJ McLaughlin that set up the Canada Dry. And of course, his family was from Belfast as well. Rumour goes that the actual recipe was stolen from Belfast and created ginger ale Canada Dry, but I'm not going to go there tonight. First of all, big bag for the stuff. Just going to pull stuff out. Anything that you like, and this is something I'm trying new, anything you like, just put in the comments that you think was a good idea. So First thing is a shillelagh, a traditional Irish stick. You can get different size ones, and it's in oak or else blackthorn. And if you're wondering what it's for, you probably guessed right. It was a fighting stick back in the day. So we have sticks here. Instead of having sword fights, we used to have stick fights. And I'm trying to think what else with this is Leprechaun in Boston Celtics has a shillelagh. So next on the list is, okay, you see that? Northern Iron. So instead of saying Northern Ireland, we say Northern Iron. Our language is really bad. Don't know why, but when you get here, you pick it up, and it's really nice to see. This is a local artist that do murals in Belfast. She's actually from Australia, and she comes and does loads of murals. And this is a colouring in book for adults, so just different things. Oh, we've got one of my favourites, Dunville's whiskey. So anyone who's into whiskey knows that Dunville's was the biggest whiskey company in the world. And they were Belfast-based in Canada. I think they were quite popular in Canada. The last heir of Dunville's in the 1930s actually went to Canada and lived. So some interesting stuff about Dunville's. The last chairman, Robert, when he died, he had a collection of wild exotic animals, and then this became Belfast Zoo. His father was and his mother were mad balloonists. So there's a lot of balloons in Belfast. And we had the Dunvilles would have been hot air balloonists. John Dunville was the first person to cross the English Channel with 4 people in a balloon. Let's see what else we have. Okay, I know what this is. Doesn't look great. It's not a good example. This is a 15 bun. So it's a bun that's sort of linked to Belfast. It's 15 digestive biscuits, 15 cherries, and 15 marshmallows, and then you cover it in coconut. So it's very sweet, and it's also brought together with condensed milk. So just a local treat. Oh, don't even need to say much about this. This is just good Irish butter. Anyone who knows anyone from Ireland would love our butter, and this is in a tin foil. Don't put it in the fridge, and it gets nice and soft. This is Golden Cow, by the way. You might know Kerrygold and stuff, but Golden Cow is great. Okay, Christmas time. So we have a reindeer. One of the native animals to Ireland was the giant elk. So we had massive animals, and this included the giant elk. And again, with reindeers, my own heritage is my grandfather, when he retired, would have brought in red deer to the Downpatrick area, that was County Down, that was used for red deer and food, which was only starting to happen. Venison. Okay, we have Duck of Thrones. So anyone comes to Belfast, Northern Ireland will know about the Hastings Hotel. So they have these here wee ducks, and this one is because of the Game of Thrones. So the home of Thrones, anyone's in the Game of Thrones, a lot of it is recorded in Ireland. It's known as the home of Thrones, and anyone that's a Game of Thrones fan, look at the map, flip it upside down, and it's a map of Ireland. And Old Town is our Belfast. So where all the knowledge comes from in Game of Thrones is Old Town, and it's the same in Ireland. And then, it's probably one of my favourites. So this is the Belfast Bap. Look at the size of that. So anyone knows that product of geographical indication, you have the Blah in Wexford, and the Belfast Bap needs to become PGI because it totally kicks ass. It's called the BAP, which means BAP, which means bread at affordable prices. And it was set up during the famine to help feed the people of Belfast. We have, that's what we call a beater. I don't have the drum from the Boron drum. So that's traditional music. Hurling is a traditional sport. You might have heard of Gaelic, GAA football, GAA hurling. If anyone knows about baseball, baseball is 95 miles an hour. Hurling is 150 miles an hour. So it's a wee whiskey flask. Jane had the Bushmills. This is Bushmills, 1608, which is the oldest licensed distillery in the world. Hang on, we got left here. Rope. Belfast was the biggest rope makers in the world, like obviously the biggest shipbuilders in the world, so different cultures, different traditions. This is, you can see, the seahorse. So if you're in Belfast, you'll see a lot of symbolism around seahorse. It's in our motto, it's in Grand Central Hotel, it's everywhere. And the reason was when Belfast became a town in 1613, a massive port, and the seahorse was a link to good luck from sailors. Oh, we snow globe. Happy Christmas, everybody. Is the robin. So you see a lot of Christmas cards with robin on it, and it represents in a way Christmas. But for people here in Ireland, it's like having a feather or a butterfly turn up. It's a sign of someone that's passed away, coming back and saying hello. I know I've got 2 minutes. I'm hoping to get this up. Roy Quackleroy. So another one of these. It's a golfer. And 1999, we had the Portrush Open, which was won by an Irishman, Shane Norrie. And then we have Harland and Wolff, Samson and Goliath was the name of the two cranes, only built in 1969, 1964. Harp, Belfast Harp Festival, 1792. You have the 11 of the harpists were blind. And then I think we have last is Van Morrison book. And ideally it says keep her lit, which is an old saying in Belfast, which means keep going, keep the fire lit, keep her lit. So for everybody in the industry and to our guests tonight, from myself in Belfast, let's keep her lit. That's it, I've done it in 2021 in short a time. How did we go there, Sandra, in terms of time?
I love it, perfect. It's 150 miles an hour is the speed of hurling. I think you went faster than that to give us a tour of Belfast, so that was phenomenal.
That's all you need.
So much fun, so much fun.
It's in our name, by the way. If you look at an anagram, it says best and fast. Belfast.
You really thought that one through. Okay, then we're going to go into quiz time. So again, I hope you've been paying attention to our speakers. We have some Christmas questions for you as well. So keep you guys on your toes. Answer these. You have 20 to 30 seconds to answer each question. There is 4 of those, and those who answer all right are eligible to be in for a chance to win our prizing that we spoke about earlier. So that is a little holiday gift pack from ourselves at Tourism Ireland, as well as a Waterford Crystal Base. So if we can launch the first quiz question. What date in December is traditionally known as the beginning of the festive season in Ireland? So you have December 1st, December 8th, or December 24th. Now, we never actually gave you the clue for this one, so we are really putting you guys on the spot here. We'll count down. We'll just give you a few more seconds. Nearly everyone voted. 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, and we'll give the answer to this one. Can everyone see my screen there okay? Just want to make sure you can all see my screen. Use them in the chat here. Perfect. Thanks, Dayton. So the answer to that one, can we pop up the answer there, the team at Travelweek, if we can just show the answers to our quiz questions. So the answer to that one is December 8th. So we like to extend our holiday season. Our holiday season, Christmas time in Ireland, really runs from December 8th to January 6th, which is the Feast of the Epiphany, or Little Christmas, as it would be known in the west of Ireland. If we run the next polling question. So I hope you were paying close attention to Michael. What was the name of the town of Cove at the time Titanic visited in 1912? So was it Bantry? Was it Glanmere? Was it Queenstown? Or was it Youghal? All wonderful places. But one of them was the name of the town of Cove at the time the Titanic visited back in 1912. Again, we'll give it a few minutes just as everybody takes the time to vote here. And as soon as everyone has voted, we'll then display the answers. And a reminder then as well, if anybody is Has any questions for our panelists? We'll be answering this straight after. So a couple more seconds on this one. What was the name of the town of Cove? And we'll wrap that one up. And the answer is, of course, Queenstown. So I'm sure you're all paying very, very close attention to Michael there. So back in 1912, Queenstown was the name of the town of Cove, and 95% of you got that one right. So great to see you're all paying very, very close attention. Our third question, which will pop up on the screen here now. What are the two iconic yellow cranes associated with Titanic on the Belfast skyline nicknamed? So I don't think we got to this in Connor's little bag of tricks. I know he had a Santa's sack full of things there, but there are two amazing cranes on the Belfast skyline. So for anyone who's visited or knows a lot about Belfast, these have nicknames. So is it Bert and Ernie? Is it Samson and Goliath? Or is it Bonnie and Clyde? What are those two cranes called? We'll give it a couple more seconds. Gonna have fast fingers for these polling questions. Okay, and then we'll share the answers. So the answer to that one is, of course, Samson and Goliath. So again, 82% of you got that one right, and we didn't even give you the answer to it. So good to know that you guys know a lot about Belfast, or know that, you know, we're not massive Sesame Street fans in Belfast necessarily. And for our final question, we'll pop it up here. Nollaig Chonaic Duit is Irish for which greeting? So this is, of course, our holiday edition webinar. We're counting down to the holiday season. So is it Happy New Year, Happy Christmas, or Happy Holidays? That's pronounced Nollaig Chonaic Duit. If you want to make that plural, if you're saying, I won't give out the answer, to a group of people, that would be Nollaig Chonaic Duit. We'll give you some fun Irish tips in our follow-up email as well, so you can impress all your clients and all your friends by speaking Os Gaeilge. So a couple more seconds for this one. Nollaig Chonaic Duit is Irish for which greeting? And we'll now give the answer. So it is Happy Christmas. So it could really be either all of those three, but it is Happy Christmas. It's the direct translation for Nollaig Chonaic Duit or Nollaig Chonaic Duit. And that is all of our polling questions. So that's pretty much it from us here. Just a reminder on some of the ways that the team here at Tourism Ireland can help you. We are really here as a support for you guys to sell Ireland and to be, you know, the experts in the destination when you are informing your clients of where to go and what to do on the island of Ireland. So we do have our website, ireland.com. We also have a travel magazine. We have digital copies of it, and we also have physical copies of it. If you would like them for your offices, your home offices, or for us to distribute them to your clients, we are more than happy to do so. There is a section on our website which has all of our resources. So you can check that out. You can order the brochures direct online, or you can reach out to me directly at any time and we'll get them to you. We also have our Facebook group. So this is a Facebook group dedicated to you guys, the Canadian travel agents and operators. It has lots of information exclusive to you, the travel trade. So if you're not a member of this group, please do join it. It's where we will share all of our upcoming events. You know, when we're in the world to do fam trips, we will share our fam trip application forms there, and everything that you need to know with regards to the COVID-19 situation and any updates on travel to the island of Ireland, we will share with you there. And we'll even share Jane's amazing mince pies recipe. So if you're not on it, make sure to join it. I know that Laura has just popped in the link to the group in the chat box, and we'll also follow up with that link directly in our follow-up email to you all. We also just revamped our Ireland Specialist program. I know many of you here today are Ireland specialists, but everything is changing at a rapid pace. So we have revamped this education program. It is new content for 2021 travel and beyond. All the key themes that we really see recovering for travel to Ireland quickly. And it also has lots of information on Canadian connections. 4.5 million Canadians claim Irish ancestry. So it's a really key driver for people booking travel from Canada to Ireland. So make sure that you are up to date on that and know how to correctly address your clients' needs. That will give you a certificate, a gold or a silver certificate on being an Ireland specialist. And it also gives you an email signature that you can put in your communications so that everybody knows that you are the go-to person for booking travel to Ireland. And then just make sure to stay connected with us. We have lots of social media channels. We're always posting content. You can take this content and use it anywhere in your own marketing. So if you see something that we have shared, use it. You know, if you want to promote Ireland to your clients, there's no point reinventing the wheel and going out of your way and creating all this content yourselves. We are more than happy to support you with that. Take our content, use it however you see fit. And if you need something specific, just reach out to us directly and we'll be sure to help you with that. Now I will turn it over to our Q&A. So let us know if there is any questions in the chat box. I see two here. One is, can you make sure that we get the recipe from Jane's mince pies? So of course we'll make sure to get that to you. And I know Dayton and Connor are related in some way. So Dayton Owen says Connor must be family somewhere down the line. So far, that is all the questions that we have at the moment. We have a question here from Dayton as well. What about us USA agents? Where's the picture location on your screen? So this is in Northern Ireland. The picture here on my screen, it's Mussenden Temple in Northern Ireland. We'll give it a couple more minutes. If anyone has any other comments they'd like to share to our panelists here today, if you have any questions for us, please make sure, pop them in the chat box. We're all here. We're eager and ready to chat to you guys. And we have our Ireland experts all the way from Ireland here today. So take this opportunity to ask them anything that you would like to know about their products, about their regions, about their holiday plans. Kathy McDonald here says, thanks, great presentations from everyone. I really want to echo that. Michael, Alistair, Jane, Connor, thank you so much for your time today. We really, really appreciate it. It's always great to have you guys live from Ireland with us. So we really appreciate you taking the time, especially as it is coming into your nighttime now. Do you know where the house from the quiet man is located? Does anyone want to answer that for me? Connor, I feel like that's one you would know. Not to put you on the spot.
I usually do know it, but I think I've had a brain frazzle. I think it's Galway or down towards Galway and Sligo area. Where? What? Who? Mayo.
County Mayo. So it's actually on the grounds of Ashford Castle. And I also thought it was Sligo when I first thought of it there. So sorry to put you on the spot, Connor. It is on the grounds of Ashford Castle in County Mayo.
My dad answered that.
Thanks, Connor's dad. And Donna says Ashford Kong. So see, we really do have some Ireland specialists on here today, because you guys are answering our questions. Great job today. Is there special Christmas decorations around Belfast? Well, one of my favorite things to do in Belfast at the holiday time is go to the City Hall Belfast Christmas Market. Connor, tell us a little bit about what Belfast usually looks like at this time of year.
Yeah, the big push is around City Hall usually, so there'll be the big tree, lights. Because of the COVID, we did have a light celebration that's sort of been put on hold, but the city is looking amazing at the moment. Titanic's lit up red. It seems to me that there's a big push at Christmas that we're going to be spending more money on lights. So if you do come over in the winter, it's a great place and time to visit, because it does, like, I know it sounds stupid, but Instagram and people taking photos and stuff, it's all happening. Even though we're in a restrictive lockdown, the city's looking beautiful.
Yeah, City of Belfast is always so beautiful. And behind me actually today, my Zoom background is Dublin. This is O'Connell Street in Dublin, which is also one of my favorite places at Christmas time. They light it up something spectacular. And really there's nothing that beats walking around the streets of Cork or Cove or Belfast or Dublin at this time of year. It really is just a magical time to travel. So hopefully next year we'll all be in a position to do so. Maybe we can all spend the holidays together in Ireland. A couple more questions coming in. Can you recommend any tour operators that offer tours for those that are in motorized wheelchairs? Tortoise, yes, absolutely I can. I will follow up with you direct by email on that. We have a few great suppliers that we work with who will definitely tailor that. But really, it's a very accessible country, and the tour operators really do go out of their way, all of them, to make sure that anybody who has any specific accessibility needs, like motorized wheelchairs, are looked after. So no shortage of choice for you there. Martin Charlton says, if one has only 4 or 5 days, is it best to stay in one spot and do day trips, or better to move around? Now, from my perspective, it really depends on your client. So that's just really knowing your client. What type of traveler are they? How active are they? What do they want to see? And one thing I would be very hesitant on recommending is, basing yourself in Dublin and doing day trips to Belfast and then the cliffs of Moher, and it just really is a lot to fit into a short space of time. And we have seen a lot of people do that, and you just don't get the best experience. You really want to be able to stay and soak things up and enjoy those experiences versus spending most of your time on a coach. And so I don't know, Michael, do you have any recommendations? A 4 to 5 day trip, what would you recommend? You're on mute there. Pop off mute.
We have so much to offer throughout the various locations in Ireland. It would be difficult to pick one, but I often think that if a person chooses, say, for example, one of the regions that you mentioned, either the Wide Atlantic Way, undertake to do that, or spend time in Northern Ireland, what's best there, or in Ireland's ancient East. I think, if it was just 4 or 5 days and you wanted to get the benefit, because you do get to know people in the local coffee shop, in the bar, and that's really very much a part of the experience, rather than being on a coach or in a car or on a train every day. So I'd say if it was 4 or 5 days, choose one of the areas that Sandra mentioned at the top of the presentation and locate yourself there for 5 days, and then come back and do the next one and get through them all. That's what I'd recommend.
Top recommendation, Michael. I could not agree with you more on that one. Okay, we'll give it a couple more seconds. If we've no more questions, then we will wrap up. As I said, we're always available. So hopefully you all have my email address. If not, I will share it in the follow-up presentation. So if you have any follow-up questions for myself or for any of our presenters here today, just reach out at any time. We're here to help. We have our social media channels, as I said. So if you're not following us already, make sure to. And when you all make those amazing mince pies with a dash of whiskey to make them Irish from Jane, when we send that recipe, share your photos with us. Use #ChristmasInIreland and share your photos. We'd love to see what you guys come up with. So big thank you again to all our presenters. We really appreciate you taking the time, and to all of you agents tuning in today. We know it's been a hell of a year. There's been a lot going on this year, and you guys have been amazing, sticking with it and sticking with us. So a big thank you to all of you. Gurv Mila Mahwiv. And if you have any questions, reach out, and if not, enjoy the rest of your day. Happy holidays, everybody.
Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Sandra, for setting it up.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you, Sandra, and the team, and thank you to all of the visitors that are on the webinar. Thank you, and happy Christmas to everybody.